Let's put it up full mass. Jilted lover hires a hitman to kill beloved Philly teacher. This is a sad story. The twists and turns are quite unbelievable. A Pennsylvania jury took 45 minutes to convict, Philadelphia woman and her hitman of first-degree murder in the shooting death of a 35-year-old popular school teacher named Rachel King. Okay, this was at Rachel King was at Grover Cleveland Mastery Charter School. It was last year as King sat in a Dunkin Donuts drive-thru with her 11-year-old son that the hitman fatally shot King. The child was not wounded. King's son, Jalen, obviously remains traumatized. He witnessed this and struggling to cope nearly a year later. Family members say Jalen was heartbroken that he never had the chance to hug his mom one last time. Those things matter when crises like this happen. 35-year-old Julie Jean and 34-year-old Zakkee Alhakim were sentenced to life in prison without parole on March 21st for the premeditated killing of King after a love triangle involving King's fiancé turned sour. Prosecutors said following the verdicts, sheriff deputies surrounded the defendants, led them away in cuffs. Let me give you the background. Let's put it up. April 11, 2023. King was taking his son to violin practice when at 7:39 a.m., a hooded gunman approached the driver's side of her Ford Edge SUV and opened fire, shooting directly through the window. At the time of the killing, King was engaged to be married to William Hayes, who had been cheating on her with Jean for 10 months behind her back. Before the romance reached a full year, Hayes suddenly broke it off, telling his jilted lover that he wanted to fully commit to King, the woman he intended to marry. The breakup devastated Jean, according to the report, who felt desperate to keep Hayes with her, prosecutors noted. And as her new reality set in, prosecutors said she became vindictive, leading to the murder plot. District Attorney Kevin Steele said in his closing argument that Alhakim soon joined the plan as a triggerman. Prosecutors said Jean knew Alhakim as a cousin of the father of her children and entrusted him to carry out this plot. So she could potentially rekindle her romance with Hayes. The evidence showed how much planning went into this. Text messages retrieved from Jean's phone revealed that she had traveled to Kensington to meet Alhakim and shared pictures of Rachel King with him. Investigators also found a Google Map screenshot of Alhakim's phone, showing King's address and hand-drawn instructions on how to access the woman's apartment complex. Jean gave Alhakim for this $500 the day before he purchased an untraceable ghost gun for the killing. And he texted Jean a picture of the gun a few hours later, prosecutors said. Jean also bought a used Mercury Sable, which prosecutors say Alhakim drove to King's apartment days before the murder to scope out an ideal place to gun her down. The same car was reportedly seen following behind King on the day she was ambushed and killed. When Jean became a suspect, she attempted to conceal her connection to the crime by deleting text messages and call logs from a phone, by erasing news articles about the killing that she had looked up and saved on her browser, prosecutors said. During defense arguments, Jean's attorney, Shaka Johnson, accused prosecutors of conducting or concocting a fake narrative and maintained the evidence did not support the charges against his client, BS. Johnson argued that Hayes' testimony during the trial, where he expressed love for King and described her as his rock, was sincere and designed to portray himself in a positive light. In reality, Johnson said Hayes was involved. He was at least part to blame for both women, as neither were aware of the other. Somehow, though, Jean found out about his infidelity and contacted King to see if she could get to the bottom of Hayes' lies, Johnson told the jury. The defense suggested that Jean's decision to call King was a natural response to being two-timed, indicating that Jean was also unaware of Hayes' double life. This occurred as Jean moved to Linwood Gardens, the apartment complex in Elkins Park, where Hayes resided. Johnson suggested that the prosecution's evidence against Jean was primarily circumstantial and did not directly implicate her, but the jury rejected the argument. Meanwhile, Alhakim's attorney, Benjamin Cooper, pointed out that surveillance video of King's murder did not positively identify the gunman, nor did other videos of the Mercury Sable leaving the area after King was shot. Cooper argued that none of the evidence linked Alhakim to the shooting or proved that he was the one who drove the car to and from King's apartment on the morning of the murder. But still, the DA insisted that the evidence pointed to a murder for hire scenario, citing too many coincidences in the case, including GPS records from Alhakim's cell phone that showed him traveling from West Philadelphia to Cheltenham on April 11th in the morning, and then circling back moments after King was killed. And you got the text messages, you have the congruent pictures of the weapon, etc. So yeah, circumstantial, yes, because you don't have DNA evidence, but circumstantial here, overwhelming. Sharon, hell of a story, sad as it comes. Thoughts?
Yeah, a child left with wanting just one more hug. You know, when you don't reject evil and you slip into the depths of jealousy and insecurity, this can happen. And it's not an excuse except to say that when you focus on somebody else so much, a rival in your own mind, that you must discredit, harm, and in this case, if the district attorney is correct, kill them. It's about not rejecting evil and respecting yourself enough to know, I got to get out of here. I got to move on.
Yeah. And then just think about this, Sharon. She was willing to be with this man if it would have worked out the way she wanted it to. She was willing to be with this man knowing that she orchestrated the murder of his fiancé.
And that she was his number two.
Right.